Good morning, folks. Let's see if I can straighten that out. It's 8:01 a.m. on the 27th day, 4th month, 2023, and it's looking really, really bad for New Zealand. This tendril's going to come real close to the tip of the island as it comes across the main low. It's just going to drag the tip. Big concerns for big concerns as this whole thing channels through, and how it's not coming through Cook Strait I still don't understand at all, other than the fact that it has to be geoengineered. There's going to have to be beams. Like naturally, the storm, when the low comes, even with Cook Strait, should suck through, and I'm not understanding at all some of these scenarios that I see on the weather plans. I run through 5 different models, and all the pressures and everything say this sucker's coming into the middle of the Tasman Sea and it's going to stall. Yeah, and it's going to kick a lot of moisture into another low that's going to be rotating off the coast of about Wollongong south, a bit south of a corridor, and it's going to be quite a 5-day period coming for the Sydney area. And so I'm going to go over the weather plan for those. I'm not happy about this at all. I do not want this to occur. I want to be wrong, but to not do the right thing and say something, for to worry about being wrong is wrong in itself. So we will be prepared for this in New Zealand. You've got a few more days to get ready. Some of the mouse, excuse me, this mouse is not cooperating. The mouse pad is actually sliding. Right, we'll fix that today. Yeah, I'll put a piece of tape on it. It'll stick it down. Oh my, some of the totals in the far north of New Zealand are going to be catastrophic as these rivers run towards their predictable deltas, and the mouths of these rivers will be very, very vocal, to say the least. My God, what's about to unfold? Not again. I have to say, not again. Never again. And look at this tendril up here. It's being hauled off. It's going to be directed somewhere. That's really an EMF cut, so this is free to flow. Because there's some terrible amounts of water floating around up there being manipulated. As I move in towards the coast of Australia, and the gong show's not looking good, facing about a foot of rain. And you're getting yours on pretty much on the 5s. Yeah, your event is more imminent. You do have time to prepare. You know, all this rain is really coming in a 2-day period. Fuck. Yeah, exactly. Well, you guys are going to have to get ready. You have your arcs ready. That's what's offshore. This is what's onshore. Remember, you got winds and tides that will affect the mouths of this river. Like, let's say over here at Shoalhaven Heads, and in these areas in here. You know, to see the possibility of water breaching some of these places is a possibility. I don't know what kind of a shore defense they have there, but you might want to be aware you're going to be having some problems. And if it's a flood area like these, when I see marshy spots like this, you can expect to be flooded through there. Expect it. Man, all the land features and terrain clearly say so as we head down more toward the coast. Your towns here, like Huskisson and Vincentia, you know, Tomarongo. We couldn't do much more wrong for these people to not warn them that something's happened. So let's or something's going to happen. So let's hope that more of a national warning can go out now that the cat's out of the bag. But I've been telling you guys for days that the possibility of flooding is high. Isn't that pretty? Oh, you can't see what I'm seeing. I'm looking at lapping waters upon a shore. And not a bunch of chem, which is nice to see. Well, we got a factory over here somewhere, steaming it up, adding moisture to the atmosphere. But I digress. Anyways, let's go over the what's going to happen now over the next few days. It's slated here for this portion of New South Wales. Okay, we'll turn it. I'm going to leave some of the winds on because you do need, that is important. I have to leave Tassie on too, because you'll be affected a bit. Right, this is as we're going in toward, this is Friday afternoon, your time, Australia. And you see the showers came through, a great big line that begins to form. And this is when the trouble starts. About the same time, you have this storm coming down from New Zealand. Now the fronts of these two is going to create a gap. And the only way to do this is to look at me. So I'm going to sit back here and show you with my hands. Right, you have a storm coming from here. And you have this coming from here. In the middle of the toe, you ever push your hands in the bathtub or water like this towards each other? In the center, a little wake form, and then the water comes back out. Well, that hamming up is going to hold the two storms apart slightly, which is going to make it stall against the land. They're going to feed each other. That's a bad situation. So as this one comes down, let's say this is New Zealand, and it comes down this side here, and maybe where my fingers are is where Cook's is you should suck through. Well, because this storm over here has got these dynamics going in, and they're going to have to put a beam right across Cook straight on up, and one down the side of Auckland. I'm expecting that beam to come down coast, yeah, down that way, to prevent the storm from coming over the country. It's just going to kick its moisture in, and there's a lot of it. There's a lot of layers of it in the upper atmosphere to come down, and as this one comes over, again, it's going to have an effect to push that finally at the end of the long event. And the whole rolling down of that river of moisture coming from Vanuatu is coming to visit. And that was manipulated many days ago with a beam. I said, oh my gosh, this scenario here. So we're going to watch this very carefully. If any of us could think a way to store, now's the time to use that gift or unlock it. Otherwise, batten down the hatches, get prepared, and some of them places I'd move away from fairly quickly. If you had problems during your last floodings, you know what happened. You know what to do. All right, so I'm going to go back to the screen again. So this is coming down as that's coming across. Now as they meet, watch. Now the pressures, I'm going to put that on now, that's a factor. I'll turn on some of the particle animation so you can see this. The interactions of the pressures of your country here in Oz is a high clear across with a corridor here. So this is very volatile to bring cold air up and over. There's a huge spot for it to come in on one of the layers of the atmosphere. As yet to be determined. It usually sits low. But to get this kind of storm, they're going to bubble it in the center. They're going to have a lot of dynamics. Now, as this comes down toward New Zealand, and this is a fairly accurate portrayal. Now, as I look at the pressures, I'm agreeing with this. And it comes down towards your coast. This is where the hold-off is happening. And here's where we're switching. I'm going to have to switch screens again. If they have it walking, it's impossible. It's a near impossible. Unless you heat this area here. And you have a really big low way over here and a huge high sitting over here next to South America. I'm telling you, it takes a lot to manipulate the river. Now they took the river and they shoved it right over the Polynesian Islands. Right over down here to be gathered by a low. And it's sitting down here in Antarctica. It's sitting at, it is at 966, which is a fair low. It's not, I don't think that would be the lowest one that's driving all the weather of the southern hemisphere. Because it's, I usually would see a 950 somewhere. Here it is. It has a 945 right here under Africa. It's driving the weather. And that'll be coming your way. Unless a beam shoves it right across Antarctica. And if they shove it across Antarctica, it's coming out here. And when that comes out there like that, meeting more tropical air, it's setting you guys up for that next week of wetness. And it's going to take about 5 days for that low to work its way over. If that high moves. Right? So all these are dependent on each other. Which is stalling this right in the center. That's a huge wide bubble up, as I've been referring to them, as some of you who follow me understand what I mean by that.
And that's also easy to explain in a glass of water or a tub of water. You ever squirt water out of your hands across the top of the swimming pool? Yeah, well, that basically is the highs of your hands, the lowest the water, squeeze it in and out. You made a rudimentary pump. And wherever the big gap is, the water squeezes out, right? It's a basic. The pastry bag, so to speak. That's the only way I can explain it. So a big beam is something's going to keep this high over here, a huge square. You'll see it appear. And that'll hold that in the Tasman Sea out here, which is going to continually fuck, guys. And continually fuck New Zealand. Yeah, because until it moves, and then a big low comes through down here. Now this is rotating its direction, right? So it's throwing its cold up into here. Now this one's in this direction. So when along those lines, it's going to tend to throw it. The top level of that when they meet. It's going to throw it inland. And it'll follow this line here, a tongue of it. And imagine a tongue of cold air will sit in the trough. It usually does, right around where my hand is, the middle finger. Which is going to make some volatile storms around that area and through there, through Dubbo and all that. Right, naturally would occur. Add the chem bombs, the catalysts, and the energy from the beams, and you have geoengineering. You know, the engineering of weather itself, of the Earth's systems. And it's right there is another high earthquake day for New Zealand, which will be about Friday the 5th, very late at night. And when this thing finally begins to really move away, it's a very long event. And I dare say what's coming behind it is not as bad. But you are set up for a very long, prolonged period of raining. Because of the setup that you've got here with these highs going all across the southern oceans. So you've just been told, all right, that should take you well beyond this windy forecast. Because that's going to come over. It's going to take about a day and a half or two. When these interact, it has to make a spinner. There'll be a bubble up. These two will trap a piece of a low in here, somewhere around here. You could get another low to form here, probably around the 7th or the 8th. Because this has to spit and cut itself off. And that'll be an interesting one. That could be independent to be one of your autumnal cyclones that often be quite fierce. And to look at the bubble up over here, she's pinching another one here. So you'll end up with another, either a southern diver, which will go toward the low down here, which is pretty low, 66. In all intents and purposes, the high will go a little more south. That'll pinch that low off, and you'll have another one begin to work its way across the Great Australian Bight, headed toward the wine region. So that'll be around the 9th or the 10th by the time that gets formed. And so we'll be looking at the radars in the chem that's gonna cause this tongue of this to bubble down. Sorry if you couldn't see that really well. I don't mind. Oh, there goes the phone off the holder. Sit, behave. Yeah, about like everything in life, it doesn't do what we expect. Hey, Weeper. What are you doing there? Yeah, a bit of a thunder rumbler's coming through there on the 6th. So, it's not too good at all. So let's have a look at what's on your weather radar right now. Oh, they're blasting you way out here in the Coral Sea for all to see. The big old frying eye of the Coral Sea. Bzzzt. The super fryer's eye. What do we got out here? Oh, we got a bit of a glitch going on. The Glitchingtons. Gordon Vale. Yeah, a bit of a shower there booming up. Nothing huge. The chem bombs are going to show it all. All quieter than the eastern coast there, pretty much. These stragglers to be expected here. Here's the area where the pressure volatility lines are. I'm kind of expecting some action through there. And we could disperse that diesel oil spill that came down the river down there and has toxified Harvey Bay. 6,000 gallons and a $10,000 fine. Huh. How about revocation of business licenses? That'll really set a tone for safety. Or you don't store stuff like that near the river. That is all. Hey, Gimpy, a little bit of a storm action is going to be coming towards your way. This line here. Hey, things don't seem to be dissipating over here. Let me have a look. Oh, yeah, you got a chem line coming across up there and one on the low deck. Yeah, that triggered a lot of action. But looks like you can have a quiet night. Only the microwaves and the low deck chem bombs there to irritate your nostrils while you're sleeping. The whole Bernieism of it all. Look at this along the coast. This will be Byron Bay right where I'm pointing, and that'll be a chem bombs off their coast. Bam, bam, bamby, 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 bomb, bomb, bomb. They love you, so you're screwed. Boom, bada boom, ba boom, boom, ba boom, it chem, bam, bam, ba bam, bam, ba bam. You're getting bent, bent, ba bam, bam, bent. And here's the storm that's gonna come down to New Zealand, and it's being well made right now in the tropics. Chem bomb much from one spot. Marine cloud brightening. Boom! Going off the coast of Vanuatu. This one here going in the other direction, and a nice big square has been drawn down here as the Venturi effects of these islands cut the storm into the predictable tendrils that are needed. There's tendril 1. There's a tendril 2. There's a tendril for you and you and you, and everything should be headed south. Hey, these chem bombs here says, no, we need a little over the top of that one, because it takes layers of metals to make a battery, doesn't it? Doesn't it? We'll just add what we need. Have some lithium. Yeah, that wouldn't make a battery, would it? No. Come on, wake up, people. There's a chemistry test tube called Earth's atmosphere, and underneath all that is the bottom of the test tube, and look what they pour it in the test tube, and it's just a matter of time before they stir it, and the spoon itself begins to melt. Would they be acidifying your skies if that happened? Absolutely. Boom! Spreading out. Look at that formation right here. Come on. It's like a stop sign. This is it right here in that Vanuatu corridor here, creating the flows needed to fuel the storm. Boom, force that out. Keep it out of there. Get that to spin. Hit it here, hit it there, hit it in your underwear. Who knows where they're going to ever stop until we say no more of your philanthropising around. Your shenaniganizations must now cease over our planet, because I'm tired of the shenanigans. In a nanny state, shenanigans is to be expected, and the shenaniganizations of the planet is going to cease for rogue corporations who only care about profit and don't even put animals before profit, but they'll put them on a poster to get their sales pitch. Oh, they might die. Meanwhile, it looks like the angel of death looking chem bomb here, with the wings and everything, streamering across the ocean. Streamering across. Well, this goes that way, that goes that way, and while our freedom goes right down the old toilet bowl, right down the old dunny. And look at this line of sickness mix traipsing its way across the nation. Those sleepy, sheepy, messed up people more worried about the X factor than becoming the X factor needed to solve the equation of stupidity that would dare poison the lands of our planet, that would dare tell us, how dare you, while they dare with their dirty Sanchez's and their false skylashes and their sickness mix descending upon people. And I'm hearing about terrible lung illnesses from my friends. Coughing, can't get it to stop. Hard mucosas in the nose so sharp you could sew stitches with them. And meanwhile, it's like the old Bam Bam's club from the Flintstone over here, and I have a feeling that the Grand Poobah is getting away with something he planned at his convention. Here they come on a run with some chem bombs, hon, and the galder of chem bombs gonna get fried. That's right. And the burgers can't be beat when it's all fake meat. Cricket squeezed in your eyes. You want some cockroach leg fries? And some praying mantis arm? I'll tell you, those insects won't get pissed off at us. Hey, well outnumber us. They're gonna figure it out. Hey, they're eating us. Okay, that's it. We're having them. Meanwhile, you're having this every day, this fallout from this chemical attack upon a peaceful population of our planet is going on everywhere. Now look at this crap here. Do you know where you are? You're right above New Zealand. It's right above the North Island, right there. Chem bombs frying you. Chem bombs toxifying over the top of you. The balloons are letting their payloads off. The drones are out there. And it's not the fans going, A-W. That's somebody to put their fucking names in the sky. Somebody's enjoying their job, signing their work. Hey, Oneness has seen who did that. You know what you're doing. People out there know what they're doing. If you're loading a chemical into a drone and you don't know what you're doing, you're as guilty as the drone itself. That's right. Somebody's operating in somewhere with autonomy, and it's wrong. Private corporations should never have the toys of the military in their fucking hands to force their products on us ever, including the tools of propaganda and owning the news and the stuff and products they gave commercials on. You think you're going to tell us a bad story about the one person that props up your channel? No. That's why I can never be monetized for telling the truth. We will do these things because that's what we're here to do. To be honest, humane beings with sentience. And I sometimes wonder if we are even aware of our own place in the world and where we fit in the puzzle. It puzzles us all. And that puzzle is always, what is the meaning of life? What's the meaning of life for a cockroach if it's going to be eaten? What's the meaning of life for a kangaroo that gets chem bombs on it and acids falling out in its waters? Or policies for man that says they don't need to exist anymore. There's all this open land out there. There's plenty of room for the animals. So let's put the politicians out here because they're acting like a bunch of filthy animals. If this is the land you want to torture, go live in it. You go live there. And let's see if it becomes an oasis or stays a desert. Exactly. And as they're working these storms around the corners of Perth today, don't tell me you didn't get sprayed like bugs and microwave, because I can see it right here. See these squares right here? See the triple shot right there? Triangle formation. Trapezoid shadow right there from this big ass square cloud right here. This is today, to the aid with the Southern Cross. Boom, boom, plume, 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 plume. When I seen a chemtrail for the first time, I was told it was a contrail, it was natural. And I looked up contrails and they said they should dissipate within a minute. Well, these things just stayed so long, they showed up on satellite image. Staying there, all of them. One flight, one thing, okay. All of them. And see that scalar square of energy over the ocean here? Bzzz, getting fried. Got one down here as well. You know, Lane? Hey, Hobart, you got a device down there, don't you? You know, Tony the Tiger with the big scalar square. See that area right there? It's not quite as clouded out. Electromagnetic perturbation by the people that are perturbing me right now. I'm feeling a bit perturbed about this as I look at what the fucking white rabbit on the low deck down here. Yeah, my Imaginarian clearly says that, but my Imaginarian don't have to imagine streamers of chemical catalysts making trails in the sky. A chemical trail, by definition. These are chemtrails. Toxifying my ocean. Burning up the lands. What a fucking shame. I looked at it yesterday. The storm off the coast of the United States is far from my. I look at natural here. This is I'm up by Alaska, the Panhandle up there, Aleutian Islands. Look at this off the coast of Portland, Oregon. Chemtrails, upon chemtrail upon chemtrail. over these national parks, over these beautiful water, even over Moses' lake. Oh, Moses, oh, Moses, oh, Moses. When will the Homo sapiens decide to become humane beings, like so many other humane beings? Why settle for being human when you could be humane? Why settle for less than the E for excellence? Because this is not excellent for us, but it's excellent for Mr. Burns in his continual profit margin. And you say he wanted a black descendant of cartoon? My God. Welcome to Springfield. Check your brain at the door. Oh, onward with this one here. Did we get it? The chem was on the low deck moving him right across. It's a pretty quiet day, all in all, around Australia, and you should enjoy the quiet nights that you have. Looks like this line here is about to blow up a bit. So let's have a quick look at the deployments. Oh yeah, it's just following in that line of chem. You see these gaps right here? The microwave outflow boundaries that forced that storm south. They should have come across. Yeah, meanwhile, these chem bombs right through in here are fueling whatever's going over the top. We could end up with some storms popping up tonight through here. Won't surprise me at all. So let's see. What's scheduled for you by the people that control the weather devices around the planet that are obviously flooding you out. Look at that shit. Look at those totals. We call those terrible totals. So I want to see if you get a quiet night. Starry, starry night, they came and bombed you, and they're never through. While people blame a religion of the few, while all religions love Zionism and toxify your air. You try and understand, how the hell could someone not give a shit about the planet so fucking much? And I do wonder sometimes if this world was made for people as beautiful as y'all that care. As she descends on down toward New Zealand in a predictable fashion of a storm. Oh my God, you poor folks. Boy, are you fucked. My heart goes out to you. Big love, peace.